the Raiders might be very much interested. They made a lot of trades. They acquired picks. They have 6 of the top 100, Gene. They have 3 in the first round. I got to believe that John Gruden would love to have a weapon like Antonio Brown, and maybe he believes going out there he can change his attitude.
Well, anybody would love to have a weapon like Antonio Brown, but with it you get Antonio Brown. That's the problem.
Yeah, but it wasn't like this, at least not to this degree, for the first 7 years or 7.5 years. You know, he just worked hard. Whatever he did, you really didn't hear much about him, you know, other than the regular Instagram posts. But there's something drastically different over the last year.
Definitely. Can he arrange for off-campus housing in Oakland?
Well, we'll see. You know, maybe he'll stay in Oakland and have a private plane take him to Las Vegas when they move there.
And who gets the AB house in Latrobe for this summer?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah. I believe it'll be sold. No one will get it. All right, let's go to the line and see what people have to say. Herb in Renfrew. What's up, Herb? How are you?
Pretty good. Hi, Bob and Gene. Thanks for taking my call.
Anytime.
Maybe you can straighten this out for me.
Probably not.
It's been said the Steelers will receive a third-round pick, 2020, for Lev Bell when he's a free agent. But I thought you only get those compensation picks when you lose more free agency than you sign. So if they would sign some high-profile free agents, would they not receive any compensation for Bell, Bob?
No, they still would. This is based on you know, where he is in this franchise transition tag mode, because it's gone to 3 years now, and there's a different set of rules, I think, for this. But from what I understood, that's what the compensation is, and I don't think there's anything that would change that, even if they did go out. I firmly, by the way, expect the Steelers to be active. Kevin Colbert acknowledged today that they didn't do enough to replace Ryan Shazier, Gene. And that's hard to replace a guy like that, but they thought John Bostic could somehow contribute, and he really didn't.
No, that didn't work out at all. I thought, as far as Bell goes, as long as they don't tag him, they'll get a third-round pick. Is that your understanding?
As long as they don't tag him, right, which they're not going to do.
Right.
And I don't think that impacts any other thing, so they'll get that in 2020. Also, he talked about Chris Boswell, and that was a disturbing case for Kevin and the entire organization. They'd just given him a brand-new contract, and he was one of the best, most reliable kickers, especially in crunch time. When the game was on the line, and all of a sudden things changed. Such is the life of a kicker. So they brought in another kicker, and likely will do maybe somebody else. So, Gene, the thing is, it's still his job for now, but he could lose that job very quickly if he doesn't. And I imagine it's going to come down to who kicks better in the preseason.
Absolutely.
But then again, those games really don't have the same pressure that you find in regular season games. So.
Well, still, anytime you go out there to try and kick a field goal and you don't do it, you know, teams are going to take a dim view of that. And really, I mean, I like Chris Boswell, but he's really at the end of his rope. He can't make any more mistakes, or he'll be gone.
All right, line 2 we go. That's Robert in Sheridan. Robert, welcome to the Sports Call. What's up?
And how are you, sir?
We're good, thank you.
I don't know too much about the politics of football, but I watched that with Bell and I watched it with Brown. And sorry for me saying it, but they had to give them a pacifier and change their diapers. They need to realize how much they're worth to the team and what the kids look for in football players. And they watch these guys act this way. That creates animosity amongst the younger players. And the guys on the team themselves, they look up to them, and now that's causing dissension in the team. Come on. And they worked well. Why do they got to do that when they make more money?
There is no way to explain some of the things that have gone on, especially with Antonio Brown, given what he's had. A wonderful opportunity to be with Roethlisberger. They've set records. All 74 of his touchdown receptions have come with Ben Roethlisberger on the passing end. And so there are a lot of bad landing spots, Gene. There are some good ones out there, too. But since the Steelers do control how this goes, they're not going to necessarily concern themselves with who they trade him to, as long as unless it's, you know, they don't want to get involved in division, I'm sure, likely.
Yeah, as we said earlier in the show, I mean, there's no figuring this out. But, I mean, there are always instances where you're going to have one or more real knuckleheads on your team, and it's going to be a detriment to the team. I mean, that's just a natural part of football and the football cycles.
And one of the teams we mentioned, of course, is Oakland. Another one I want to throw out there is Philadelphia. I think they may be very active in trying to pursue something here with the Steelers and Antonio Brown. So don't rule that team out. Meanwhile, he spoke very highly about Ben Roethlisberger and his leadership. He said he's the undisputed leader, and he saw evidence of that so many times throughout the year. He cited an example in Jacksonville, Gene. I don't know if you heard what he said, that at halftime he came in there, Ben Roethlisberger, and pretty much said, look, I played bad football. That's got to change, but we all need to do this. This is a time to challenge each and one of us, whatever he did, and impress Colbert and the staff, and they believe he's the man to lead.
Well, you know, I don't know.
We're not access to that, so.
Yeah, we don't know that. I mean, Ben, for most of his career, has always been able to say the right thing. I don't always know that he's meant it, but lately he's taken on kind of a different role. AB referred it to as kind of an owner's mentality. That doesn't really apply in the case of the Steelers. The Steelers owners would never do some of the things that Ben has done, like calling out AB on his show for running a bad route at Denver. How would Ben feel if AB had done that to him? You know, that to me, that's not necessarily leadership, or if it is, it's the wrong kind.
All right, we also have a lot of people who want to talk Pirates here. David M. on Twitter says, guys, give me a reason to believe in the Pirates this year. Will they contend for the playoffs? Well, they have the pitching to do it, but my biggest complaint was, and Bob Nutting spoke today, but he didn't give any indication he was willing to up the payroll. He said, we'll look about it, but he said it's something that we cannot control. But the truth is you can. And the truth is, if you want to spend, all you have to do is look at teams that have elected to spend. Gene, San Diego is a smaller market in many ways than Pittsburgh. At least they do not have the revenue streams that some of these other ones do. They're very similar in many ways to Pittsburgh. To spend $440 million on 2 players in the last 2 years. It's a choice. You don't have to do it, but if you want to, you can.
Look, I think I know what Bob Nutting is trying to say here. He didn't say it very eloquently, as usual. He's trying to say that, you know, you can't always control your payroll because you have a certain number of players who are not arbitration eligible and some who are, and, you know, some of it's out of your control. But what that sounds like to fans is, you know, as my friend Randy Bauman retweeted today on this very topic, he said that's like saying, you know, I can't really control the temperature in this room because I'd have to get up and go over to the thermostat and turn it up or down. That's what that sounds like to fans.
Right.
You're being ridiculous.
All right, we got more calls on the way. We'll go to line 3 first and then go to a break. That's Jim. Jim, go ahead. You're on the sports call.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
All right, what's up, man?
Hi, Gene. How you doing?
Hey,
Hey, Bob, now that the Steelers got Bell out of the way, Antonio Brown's out of the way too, right?
Well, not necessarily, but yeah, they're going to look and investigate trade options, and if they get what they want, they'll make a deal. If they don't, they may not.
Okay. And the Penguins, someone said they're looking for another goaltender?
You know, that's if you believe you need insurance, and I don't know that they need to go out that way. They may feel that they want somebody just in case. Who knows? But the trade deadline is coming up next Monday.
Okay, make sure Gene buys you lunch after the show. Bye.
No, I think I owe him lunch. He adds a lot here. Don't I owe you lunch?
Is it lunchtime after this show? I don't think so.
I don't know. It's snack time. I'll do that. We're going to take a break. 412-575-2600. That's the number to call right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We'll be right back.